North Carolina.
Bad trouble, bad trouble.
Okay, a terrible crash. Richard Petty's car has turned over 7 or 8 times coming off turn 4 and was just struck by another car. It's one of the most violent accidents we've ever seen at the Daytona International Speedway here as leader Darrell Waltrip squeezes through. Petty's car nosed into the wall and then went sideways and barreled end over end and then side over side time after time. A terrible accident involving the man who has won this race 7 times over the years. Alan Kulwicki in car number 7 was involved. His car is limping towards the pits, and there is the damaged number 43 STP Pontiac of Richard Petty out there on the track. It was really happened at one of the highest speed sections on the track, and we trust that Petty is okay in the car. Phil Barkdahl was involved in number 73, and we're trying to identify which other car. There's number 23, Eddie Bierschwal, Jeff Bodine in car number 15, and of course, Richard Petty, the man who has won 200 races in NASCAR events. 50-year-old grandfather from Randleman, North Carolina, is still in the car as a safety man, and the ambulance crews are out there now trying to minister to his needs.
It was one of the worst accidents we've seen here in quite a while, Chris. As you can see, the damage to the back of the car. Now the safety people are there as the other cars weave their way through. This is Trevor Boys in car number 20.
Eddie Bierschwal.
Eddie Bierschwal in car number 23. He hit the wall very hard with the back of his car.
And it looks as though Bierschwal is okay. They don't seem to be concerned themselves too. But parts of Petty's Pontiac are all over the racetrack. It's going to take a long, long time to clean up this damage as they're running the cars through the pits now.
Because of the debris,
right,
debris
of all
on
the debris. So the racetrack has moved down to pit road now from the track itself due to the debris that has come off of Petty's car as it crashed over and over and over after hitting the outside wall at high speed.
Most of the drivers are, as they're coming down pit road, making pit stops, as they normally do on caution flags.
107 laps complete. Let's take a look in replay at what has happened out of turn 4.
Richard Petty was running in a pack of cars, and the back end starts to go around, and looks like it might have been tagged by the car number 73 of Phil Barkdahl, and you can see Petty's car just cramming and turning over up against the wall, and other cars coming in. There's Barkdahl hitting him as he came by, and the Eddie Bierschwal car hitting one of the tires that came off the car.
From another angle. That looks like the crash at Darlington years ago, Ned.
Fortunately, it was staying on the nose of the car for so long, Ken, so it didn't look like it was really taking hard bounces down onto the pavement.
And it dispels some of the energy. You must remind the viewers that these cars are built to take these kind of crashes. And there's Phil Barkdahl hitting the cement wall right in front of us. Chromoly frames that serve as a roll cage up under the roof to keep the car from crushing down on the driver.
Let's take a look from Ricky Rudd's vantage point.
107 laps complete under caution for the moment. That's what I hit your punch.
You can see the trouble start in front of him there. Whether the 73 car hit number 43, the 73 being driven by Phil Barkdahl, or Alan Kulwicki was in the middle of it too, and the car number 7, he landed down on the grass on the inside, and he's with Mike Joy.
This is Alan Kulwicki's Xerox board. What happened out there?
There was an accident in a tri-oval before we got there, and I knew there was an accident. We were slowing down, and you know, I thought it was clear. I was through there. I went in between a couple of cars, and there was debris all over the place. I ran over something, blew the right front tire out, and the car swerved and ended up going into the wall.
Who and what did you hit besides the wall? There's tire marks and paint all over. There's tire marks and paint all over that thing. Did you get into anybody else?
I don't think I hit anything except the wall. You know, I was clear. I was going to make it through. We ran over some debris and blew the right front tire out.
But you're okay.
Fine.
Well, there you see the remains of car number 43, Richard Petty's brand new car being taken in the ambulance. We'll try to give you an update on his condition just as soon as possible. Here's where it began. Richard Petty, who first came here in 1959, and this, I believe, is the most serious crash he's ever had in this race.
Pierschwald's pushing in there.
Yeah. Or Barkdahl.
That's Barkdahl's car
Barkdahl's
going
car.
backwards there to car number 73. And Petty's car remains up against the wall, and you can see both tires fly off the car, and the other cars coming in now hitting the...
That's what worries me, is that second crash. That was Brett Bodine with no place to go, and Brett making a solid hit on car number 43 spinning.
Petty's car very high up in the air. However, the front was still almost on the pavement, and you see both tires, front tires, fly off the car there almost simultaneously.
Jay Foyt and Rick Wilson came by, made it through safely while the car was turning over.
So even though, as you pointed out a few moments ago, Chris, they reduced the speed, that does not make them that much safer.
The car was way up in the air as well. It was surprising that it climbed that high in the air.
See Kyle Petty coming down pit road. Dale Jarrett was right behind in that group of cars we see back there. Dale made a left turn down pit road and was able to avoid the trouble. Naturally, I had my eye on him.
Notice the spectators moving away. They're the officer going back from the fence.
And that's another reason that spectators, wherever they're at, if they're watching today and planning on going to a race, don't ever get down close to the fence on the racetrack. Stay as far away back as you can.
There's Eddie Bierswell's car, and there are the remains of car number 43, Richard Petty. Car crew chief Dale Inman. We'll try to give you an update on Richard Petty just as soon as possible. 108 laps complete.
The second straight year Barkdahl has had an accident in essentially the same place on the racetrack.
Yeah, he was a couple hundred yards down this way.
He's had a lot of accidents.
What?
He's had
It was hard to tell if Petty's car broke loose first and Barkdahl was plowed into him after the car broke loose.
Yeah. But, you know, it was Barkdahl the other day, too.
You know, a lot of crap went in the stands.
All right. Let's go immediately to the pits and Dave Despain.
And it's a wild scene here outside the infield hospital where Richard Petty has just been taken. A.J. Foyt was one of the drivers involved in the accident. Has a lot of close feelings for Richard Petty. You've been in to check on the man, A.J. What's the story?
Well, I think everything's looking good. I just walked in to get okayed by the hospital. I was the one that, when Petty come down across track, I was probably one of the first to hit him on the left front. You know, it just, I don't know, the back end jumped out from under him. Looked like, you know, So it's just one of the misfortune things. I think he's going to be all right, and thank God for that.
It all started.
Well, I was going into that whole group on the bottom side, and it looked like one of the cars behind him or something jerked the back end out from under him. The car jumped sideways, and when it jumped sideways, he come down across the track, and when he did, I hit him real hard on the left front.
We've got a wrecker wheeling through here, and we're going to move over out of the way. AJ, did you see Richard inside the hospital?
Yes, what I saw him, he looked like he was conscious and everything else, so thank God for that.
Thank you, AJ. We have one more angle to look at on that. One more word from down here. Dale Inman, the crew chief on Richard Petty's car, and of course Richard's cousin, came by here a few moments ago, and this was the signal. It appears that Richard Petty is okay. Let's go back upstairs.
As his pit crew packs up, gets ready to go back to Level Cross, North Carolina. There you see his cousin Dale Inman on the right side of your picture. Here is another angle that we haven't observed of this very serious crash.
As they come off of the fourth turn, and as A.J. Foyt pointed out, it looked like the back end of Petty's car did just lift and come around, and Barkdahl was right behind him with nowhere to go, and it immediately went up in the air once Barkdahl hit him.
There you see A.J.'s car, the black car, on the bottom of the picture. Well, that's hard memories of 1970 at Darlington. Yeah, that's it. And he was hurt in that accident. Let's pray that he was not.
He's had his neck broken several times, and that's one of the vulnerable parts of Richard Petty's body, and his head had to have been going back and forth in that car as it whipped over and over along the track.
Well, as you'll recall, we had some scenes. He tagged the wall in turn 2 about just how far you're in that shoulder harness and you're cinched right up in it tight, and yet his body moved, what, 1.5 foot?
Yeah.
Those pictures that we saw a year ago.
Elastic under
Now,
these
the fence has been beaten up here, and they're going to take a moment to fix it. We may be under a lengthy caution at this time in the race. That car was up in there, and the fence did what it was supposed to do, but it took some abuse, and they're going to repair it. You can see the crews out there now ready to do just that.
That's the fuel cell that has come out of Petty's car. It was broken loose.
It's amazing, you know, that with the fuel cell ripped out of the car, there was no fire. That shows that the safety precautions built into these cars by NASCAR are really working.
Well, that is the kind of damage that you remember from 1969 with the late Don McTavish, where the front end was just as he threw the engine out there. But a horrible thing to see, and we all, of course, feel the same way, waiting to hear, and that's so optimistic what A.J. Foyt was able to tell us.
Yes, he was very, very optimistic.
We'll be back with more live from Daytona 500 after this message and a word from your local stations.
We're here for a long time under the yellow.
Yeah.